We shift our focus to this story now. The looming Joburg water crisis that several experts have warned of could very much be a reality soon. Reports have revealed that Joburg Water doesn't have 64 billion rand needed to replace and refurbish failing infrastructure. Now, joining us to discuss the water challenges in Gauteng is Dr Ferrial Adam, Executive Manager at WaterCAN, as well as Ayesha Laher, Director at AHL Water. Good evening and welcome to the both of you. Perhaps let's start with you, Dr Ferrial. The media space, as we speak, is littered with articles of a looming water crisis in Johannesburg. But authorities feel that the term crisis is inaccurate. What we're actually experiencing, according to some, are water challenges, some of which they believe are due to isolated incidents, such as what we saw with the Aikenhof pump station that tripped last month. But this is even though their water plan indicates a 24 billion infrastructure backlog. So how would you characterize the water situation? Are we on the verge of some sort of a crisis or not?
So thank you and good evening to all your viewers. Firstly, there isn't a looming crisis. We are in the crisis as we speak. It's not coming. You know, we have infrastructure failure, we have pollution of water, we have their own government's green drop and blue drop report shows that we have appalling state of drinking water and more than 70% of our wastewater treatment works that are not functioning correctly. So we in a crisis, and in the city of Joburg, when you're saying that you don't have the money to deal with the infrastructure maintenance and fixing infrastructure, that is a crisis. Mm-hmm. We are the economic hub of the country. And without water, not only do you affect health, education, basic human rights and people's lives, but also the economy. So people can't do what they need to do if they don't have proper water. So how they don't think this is a crisis and it's an isolated kind of event thing, for me is concerning. Because it's when you say it's a crisis, they may deal with it as such. If they keep saying that there isn't a crisis, they're going to ignore it. And the longer they ignore it, the worse it's going to become.
Mm-hmm. It's an interesting point that you make that perhaps to characterize it as a crisis would allow for them to deal with it at a crisis level where perhaps government nationally can assist with funds. But if at this point they're not willing to call it a crisis, who are we? Ayesha, to rope you in, I'll pose the same question to you. Are some experts perhaps creating unnecessary alarm? Is what we're witnessing akin to the Eskom challenges right now?
Thank you very much. Good evening to you and your viewers. I do tend to agree with Dr. Ferrial. Anyone that does not have access to water for more than 2 days, it is a crisis. It is a crisis because it impacts on your health, it impacts on your cleanliness, it impacts on economy, it impacts on every aspect of your life. The fact that there are communities sitting without drinking water for many days. It's in some places it's weeks, it's months, and that is definitely a crisis. So maybe we have to change our perspective to think, what is a crisis? Yes, I don't have water and that is a crisis. People are drinking contaminated water and there are no boil water notices issues. That is indeed a crisis. Mm-hmm. We don't have plans in place to address the current challenges. That is also a crisis. So your definition of a crisis perhaps would be, if you are in the position of someone without water, it is definitely a crisis.
Mm-hmm. Then what do we attribute this to, Ayesha? Because when looking at what authorities have said, ever so often they're quick to say that what we're seeing here is as a result of urbanization, that we're seeing a population growth in Johannesburg that is moving faster than they're able to plan for. Whereas you have experts that say, no, it's not that. It's just the inability to actually prioritize maintenance.
I think, the whole adage is very important when you say failing to plan is planning to fail. Every large city in the entire world is facing the same situation. We've got massive urbanization all over the world. Is all the other cities failing to have plans in place to address this? No, we need to plan, and we need to plan effectively. We need to understand there is urbanization. There is going to be a larger demand on water. There will be illegal settlements that are in place. We need to look at non-sewered and non-sewered networks. We need to account for illegal connections. But there must be plans in place to do all of this. And there's been what worries me the most is that there's so much about this water crisis in the news. Every single news article you open up in the past, I think, few months, is speaking about the crisis. But
just today. Just today, you go onto the internet, it's littered with such articles. But again, I say, if we are to speak to authorities now, to a certain extent, they say you're being alarmist. It is not a crisis. We have challenges, but also the demand right now does exceed the supply. So ever so often, we need to encourage citizens to just use water sparingly. And they reduce it to just that.
I would like to give one answer to that. The solutions to a water crisis, to providing sustainable supply of safe water, is a technical solution. Regardless of who are the political parties that are in power in a municipality. Providing technical services is a technical solution. You can ask anybody, any scientist and any engineer, anywhere in the world, how do you deal with supplying water to a growing population faced with all these challenges that we have? The same challenges everywhere. There is a solution to it. There must be a plan. It's a multi-pronged approach. Yes, we need to look at infrastructure development. Yes, we need to replace the aging infrastructure, which all other large cities in the world are facing the same challenges. Yes, we need to look at illegal connections. We also need to put the responsibility of saving water and creating a culture of respect for water and the scarcity of water. We need to put that at the feet of the consumers, because we also need to take that. There is accountability from us as well as consumers. We need to worry about illegal connections. We need to look at theft. There is a multi-pronged approach that is required. It is a technical solution. I'm so frustrated by everybody saying there's a crisis, there's a crisis. Can we start talking about the solution?
Doctor?
And the solution is not political. It is scientific and engineering-based solutions that are practiced all over the world. We can learn from our partners and we can implement technologies that will help us address this. From leaking pipes to illegal connections to unsafe waters, but we just denying that there is a problem. How do we solve it when we deny there is a problem?
That is the big question. Dr. To rope you in here, your take. How can we avert a crisis, or because you already say we are in a crisis, how do we address it? Because we know phase 2 of the Lesotho Highlands Water Project is extremely delayed. It will only come on stream in 2029. So if we speak solutions now, what is the solution?
So I must agree with Ayesha saying, but also to say that it's a combination for me. We have to have the technical solutions. And she's right. We can't keep saying we're in a crisis. We need to know what you're doing now. And the recent article where, the one that says, it's catastrophic, we don't have 24 billion, for me felt like government was actually throwing their hands up into the sky and saying, now what do we do? And we've been saying, connect with all the people, engage with experts, engage with civil society. We are submitting a list of 5 solutions that we think they should start. And it's basic things. We can use basic technology to monitor leaks, to monitor the kind of how quick they take to fix it, how many teams do they have available that they can use. All of those things that we have coming together to actually provide the city with some solutions. But also, it's about the money that's being spent and how it's being spent. So yes, it is a technical issue, but we cannot deny that there's a political element that has caused us to be in the mess we are in right now. If you think about the city of Joburg, but we are now 7th mayor over how long? And that creates instability. That creates confusion. That's when you start having mismanagement of funds and corruption. We need a stable political system and government in order to deal with these. And also we need people who know what they're doing to provide solutions.
Doctor, you speak of leaks. It seems like a low-hanging fruit. But for some reason, reports have shown that we're losing 40% of our water to leaks. It's going down the drain. In a country that has this as such a scarce resource, but it goes down the drain. We've had our War on Leaks program, but it seems they're not winning the war. So what happens when you characterize this as that low-hanging fruit, but it seems they're struggling?
So the War on Leaks program was a different type of program, and it didn't actually achieve what it needed to achieve. But in terms of leaks, yes, you're right. It is, as you say, a low-hanging fruit. And we can, using the basic information and technology at the hands of the municipality and Joburg Water, to identify the hotspot areas. Surely the whole of Johannesburg is not the same. So put the effort into those areas that require it. And let's start fixing one suburb at a time. And we can do that. Look, our infrastructure is old. We're sitting with an infrastructure that's over 50 years, where we've had now decades of not putting into it in maintenance. So that's put us into a back foot. But let's identify the weak areas. Let's identify the hotspots and do it and get better at how we do it. We don't have to dig up dongas to fix pipes. We really don't have to do that.
But I take it as the active citizens that you are, that soon enough you will be taking authorities through that 5-point plan that you've just taken us through. Ladies, thank you very much for your time this evening. That was Dr. Ferrial Adam, Executive Manager at WaterCAN, and Ayesha Laher, Director at AHL Water.